is 24 CUP 0223. Jude.
Jude Mattingly, Office of Planning Staff, 444 South 5th Street. Thank you for having me. Okay, the request is to conduct short-term rentals in a duplex at 141 North Galt Avenue. Next slide, please. The property is zoned R5, Traditional Neighborhood Form District. The duplex is recognized under a previous non-conforming rights case that was reviewed by the Office of Planning. The applicant states that there are 4 bedrooms in one unit that would allow a maximum of 10 guests in that unit, and the applicant has stated that there are 3 bedrooms in the other unit that would allow a maximum of 8 guests in that unit. Both on-street and off-street parking will be available. Here's a zoning map to kind of get a context. North Galt is off Frankfurt Avenue, so there's a blend of residential and commercial. This is an aerial photograph of the subject property. And then here are some Google Street image captures from this previous July of the front of the property. And then a little site context. This is looking east and west down North Galt Avenue. These were also from July of 2024. Staff finding is that the proposal is adequately justified for approval based on staff's analysis contained in the standard of review of the conditional use permit for short-term rentals. And there are no short-term rentals approved via conditional use permit within 600 feet of the subject site. And then your action today will be either to approve or deny the conditional use permit with the conditions of approval listed below. And then if there are any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer.
So Louisville Metro ordinance does not preclude 2 short-term rentals on the same.
No, it does not.
property.
No, it does not.
So those will actually be registered separately?
Yes, ma'am. So should you approve both of them, they both will require their own separate short-term rental registration.
But because they're in the same structure, the 600 feet doesn't apply?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
But they can both be rented at the same time.
Yes, ma'am. So if the 600-foot separation requirement does not apply if there's more than one dwelling unit on the subject site. So if you approve both of them, you can't like approve one that then makes the other unit not allowed to be approved, if that makes sense.
Say that again.
Okay, sorry. All right. The separation requirement doesn't apply to 2 units on the same parcel, on the same piece of land. So if you approve both, they're both independent dwelling units. They could both be used as short-term rentals, which means that you could rent out one to one party and the other to another party.
And maybe you discussed this and I missed it. Can you talk to me about parking, please?
Yes. So there is a single car driveway on site, which will allow for some off-street parking. However, North Galt Avenue is a public street, so there will be on-street parking available as well.
Okay. Members, any questions for staff? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Bernard Musselman. I'm the owner of the property.
Good afternoon, Mr. Musselman. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give today is the truth?
Yes.
Name and address, sir.
Bernard Musselman. You want this address or my residential address? Where I live?
Your choice.
Oh, yeah. 141 North Galt Avenue,
Okay.
Louisville, Kentucky, 40206.
All right. Please proceed.
Okay. I've owned this property half my life. I thought about it. I bought it in 1992 and I'm 64 now. So half my life I've owned this. Next year, the property will be 100 years old. It was built in 1925. So I'm moving into owning it 1/3 of its life. So I have a little bit of standing on the street. This street is a dead end street. It's approximately, I think, 44 dwellings on the street itself. It's very walkable to Frankfurt Avenue, the craft breweries and the restaurants and everything on Frankfurt Avenue. Over the years, it's served the seminary students from Southern Baptist Seminary and University of Louisville students and all walks of life, really. Since the seminary has boosted its own on-campus housing, I've lost some of that catchment, and University of Louisville also has boosted its on-campus housing. So it's been very difficult. The last time it was rented was back in March, and I actually had to tell the gentleman that he could no longer live there because, and he was a very good tenant, probably the longest tenant I've ever had. But he was a very solitary guy, and but $600 a month wasn't meeting my overhead with the taxes and insurance and so forth. And he didn't want to get any roommates. And I said, well, if you don't mind, you have to leave. So anyhow, in regards to this, there is a need for housing, I think, in this city. The city continues to promote tourism and the bourbon and the Kentucky Derby and the various things that Kentucky offers and Louisville in general offers. So I held the neighborhood meeting, and there was some resistance there. I did ask some of the people at the neighborhood meeting, have any of you all stayed at a short-term rental Airbnb? And many of them had, and I think there is advantages of doing that. It's a very homey, and as an olive branch to my neighbors on that street, I will extend a discount if they have any friends or family to come and stay there on this. One of the other things is the 600-foot rule. I believe it will be the only one that can be on that street based on the 600-foot rule. So I'm 525 feet based on my property line to the L&N railroad line, so you can't move past that, and then down the other end. So let's see. As the owner, I will be more apt to see the property more. I do have a partner that will be doing cleanings between the short-term rentals, and I'm giving her a percentage of the income that I derive from this. As I mentioned, I'm 64, so I'm nearing retirement, and I am looking for something to help boost my retirement income, because we don't know about Social Security, do we? So, there are 0 lot lines through there, so I am aware of the noise and factors. Some of the things that were brought up were, they're going to be noisy. I've heard about these Airbnbs. They just become party outlets and things. But I'd like to say that my place is pretty nice, and the price point is going to be fairly high. I don't think it's going to be one of these things where some 20-some-year-old kids are going to come in and want to party. So I do have house rules, and I wanted to read some of those house rules that I'm going to be doing for the prospective tenants that come in there. First of all, pets are not permitted. And so there won't be any barking or anything like that. There's a no smoking permitted in the rental. So that too will be, I posted quiet hours as being from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. If the council wants me to change or modify those, I can do that. But if they're renting one unit, we're going to be respectful of the other renters. And by the way, there is a passway so that they can rent the entire property. Okay. So there is 7 bedrooms, and we're not promoting 18 residents. We're promoting 14. Okay. So, but
Could you explain that?
well, maybe Jude can tell me that, but go ahead, Jude. I think each unit is supposed to have +2, but there's not another bedroom per se to do that. So there's 7 bedrooms total. Okay.
Okay.
And then respect the neighbors. No parties or events allowed. Sorry, that's got kind of loud, didn't it? Checkout times 11 a.m. We provide phone numbers to the neighbors who have asked for our particular phone numbers. That in the event it does get out of hand, we can do that. And other things are internal, like, strip your beds and take the trash out in the back and so forth like that. So, let me see if I've got anything else I can provide you. Just a little brief history of this home. As I mentioned, I bought it in 1992. I bought it from the sister of the gardener. The gardener lived there, the gardener of the Bingham family. So I guess you all probably know who Bingham was. Very prominent man back at the turn of the century. So I also learned that at one time it was a HUD home, and that house sold for $7,500 in the 70s. So you can imagine we've come a long way since then. So I have always maintained it. I've always maintained it in a nice fashion. I regard it as an investment for myself. I'm not going to let it go into deplorable condition. And I think the short-term rental will allow me to have more of a pulse on the property, and I'll be able to, improve it and do things like that. So, which I've done over the years as well. So
how far do you live from the property?
I live 22 miles from front door to front door. I live over in the state of Indiana.
I know you said you have somebody to take care of maintenance of the property. Are you managing the property?
I maintain it, but if I need other things, for example, I just installed a hot water boiler system in there. I replaced the one that was put there in 1970 or 71. It finally gave up, so I put that in there. I've replaced 30 windows in there. It has about 52 windows altogether, so it's a large space. I really have improved it quite a bit. So it has, the lower unit has 2 entrances, front and back. The upper unit has 3 entrances, and then there's a passway, a stairwell through. It connects all 3 units. So
Okay. And one of the questions I was getting at was how close you live to the property in the event that there was a situation
20
that
minutes.
needed, okay,
Be about
needed
20
you
minutes to
there.
get there. Yeah.
All right, members, any questions for Mr. Musselman? All right.
You said you had a business partner or a partner that was going to take care of the day-to-day cleaning and that sort of thing
Yes, sir.
from between the guests.
Yes, sir. Yeah, she's agreed. She does cleaning professionally anyways, and I was giving her this opportunity to make even more income, and she's done a marvelous job of doing interior decorating. I guess guys kind of, so she put the feminine touches on the place, which really makes it nice. And so, I'm really excited about it. And I initially bought the property for my sister who was raising a son by herself, but she had other ideas when I closed on it and moved out to Oldham County and raised him in the country. So can't blame her, so, but it's been a house for all walks of life, black, white, everything, I've had lots and lots of tenants that have come through. So I just hope that my neighbors will will be kind to them, and people, recently a lady came in to bury her husband, and he was raised at the St. Joe Orphanage. He was in his 90s. And this guy had an outstanding life, served 31 years in the military and became a scout master, and he had over 130 Eagle Scouts that he mentored. And they were all in their 70s at that point, and so many of them were. So it was nice for me to host someone like that. But that was before I knew I was supposed to. But it's been a long-term rental. I've endured 4 property value assessments in 4 years, 4 adjustments in 6 years. I don't know why they keep hitting me with higher things, but I thought after so many times you couldn't do it after, it's like every 4 years. So that's another matter in and of itself, but I do want to start making money out of it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Musselman, don't go anywhere because we'll give you time for rebuttal after
Yes.
we hear from the next
Okay,
2.
will do.
Thank you. Ms. Weinstock? How are you, ma'am?
Good, thank you.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give today is the truth?
Yes,
Name and address.
Francis Weinstock, 114 North Galt, not 141, 114.
All right, got it. Thank you. Please proceed.
I don't know anybody on our street who wants a B&B on our street. It's a very quiet street full of old houses, big tall trees, young children. The little girl next door to me just learned how to ride her bike, and she's so proud that she wants to ride her bike 100 miles an hour. This fellow here, who likes to come off as our neighbor, is going to make it possible for 18 people to come to Louisville on my quiet street and join the Bourbon Trail. As far as I'm concerned, the Bourbon Trail does not belong on North Galt Avenue. It is true that I'm probably one of the most anti-B&B people that I know of, although there are maybe a few others in the audience. If this gentleman wants to make some money on the building, he can sell it, or he can put in the types of repairs that people might actually like to rent the house. He doesn't put that into this house. This house is truly one of the shabbier places. I'm not saying it's full of rats or anything like that, but he's not made it a beautiful place. There are no feminine touches inside. It's going to be not 20 minutes for him to drive if there's a problem. It's going to be 35, and if it's rush hour, it could be an hour and a half. His cleaning woman lives near him in Indiana. So it's like having an absentee person who wants to be allowed to have 18 people in there. How many automobiles is that? The people on either side and across the street don't want the street full of parked cars with people who are coming to join the Bourbon Trail. Let me just see if I left anything else out that I wanted to say. Well, I'm one of the elderly now too. I have found that I'm getting older and older and older and older. Every year I'm getting older. I don't enjoy the type of wildness that we've had. And in the past, he talks about seminary students and U of L students in a positive light. That's great. They were known for carrying on with upwards of 100 people on the front porch, bright lights, blinking lights, loud music. I believe this gentleman who owns the house lived in California at the time. We hated it. We absolutely hated it. It was like, when is this party going to be declared over? That's what he wants to do again to make a little money. If he can't rent the house, he should sell the house to somebody who can fix it up, because clearly he doesn't, whatever it takes to fix up that house, he doesn't have it. So I'm finished. Thank you very much for listening, unless you have some questions.
Just one clarification. I did hear Mr. Musselman say that he would rent to no more than 14. I thought that's what
Oh, boy.
just want to make sure that.
How many automobiles is that? How many, no offense, how many glasses of bourbon is that?
Well, and also, unless it's in the conditions of approval, unless you're going to change the conditions of approval.
Agree.
I just wanted to ask if, have there been any issues recently that you could speak to?
No one has been living there. I understand he had 3 single men living downstairs at one point, each one paying him separately. I didn't know about that. I live about 4 or 5 houses down, but the people who lived on either side of him did know about that. And they came to the meeting that we had at the library too. They were not as harsh as I am. I'm going to say I'm the harshest one that I know. But nobody liked the idea. There was no one in the room of 10 or 15 people who liked the idea. Any other questions?
All right. I have a speaker card for Jennifer Brown and Doug Abel, both on the same speaker card. Good afternoon. Are you both going to speak?
We're married, we just don't share last name. Yes.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Then I'll swear you both in. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give today is the truth?
Yes.
Okay, name and address.
Jennifer Brown, 138 North Galt Avenue.
Same, but Doug Abel, same address.
Okay, all right. Please proceed.
So we live pretty much directly across the street. We had submitted a letter for the last meeting, the neighborhood meeting, but we moved there in 2018 from Brooklyn, chose this neighborhood because it's a quiet, dead-end street. There are some renters at the very end of the street, people who have been there for a long time, but it's all single-family residences. Since we moved there in 2018, there's just been a constant rotating door of tenants in this place. Oftentimes they're confused. It's a dead end. People are constantly turning around in our driveway. We haven't been in to see the house, and we really don't want any bad blood with our neighbor or anything, but we remember probably 4 or 5 years ago, he had it on the market. And at the time when he was trying to sell it, we had seen pictures of the listing, of the interior of the listing online, and he was asking what we all estimated to be probably $200,000, $250,000 more than what he could actually get for it. So at some point, he did try to sell this place. Then when that failed, he broke it up even more, created more bedrooms, and there's an ungodly amount of bedrooms in this place right across the street. We're just tired of seeing the constant rotating of people in and out. And it's just, we and our elderly neighbor who lives right next door, we are the two houses directly across from it. And she wanted me to just read a very short letter, if I may. She says, I'm unable to attend the hearing today. However, my neighbor will read my concerns. Our avenue is a dead end, and the majority of residences are one-family homes. 141 North Galt has had a great deal of turnover in renters during my 19 years at 142 North Galt. The fact that Mr. Musselman has been unable to keep long-term renters causes me to wonder who might rent it as an Airbnb. Making it an Airbnb with the property owner not on site is a nightmare waiting to happen. Parking and safety of our neighbors would be of great concern. I feel especially worried at my age, living alone directly across the street. And that's signed Emma Borders at 142 North Galt Avenue. So, it is, just parking can be tight on the street. Again, it's right across from our street. People get confused because it's a dead-end street. We just ask that he reconsider and please sell the property at a reasonable price, like something that it's closer to what it's assessed at, because we don't want this right across the street. It will make us unhappy that we chose this at our house at a place that can accommodate 14 people. And I'm sorry, and I really don't mean this as an insult, but the pictures online, it's like 70s wood paneling and some very vintage vinyl flooring with low ceilings. We travel and stay at Airbnbs. This is not the kind of place that we would stay at. So we fear that it's also going to get like a lower caliber of person because it's, you know, he's going to end up lowering the price to make it more in line with the quality of the accommodations. Do you have anything to say?
You covered it.
Okay, and I think that's it. And again, I'm sorry, I don't want to impose on anybody's, retirement income or anything, but we just don't want this across the street from us. We just don't want it. Thank you.
Any questions, members?
Just, are there any recent issues, just very recent issues that you could speak to, or just kind of?
Oftentimes, because there's moving trucks in front of his property so often, it makes it difficult for us to even back out of our driveway. It is constant, and he has been doing some kind of updates over there. So, it's a lot of activity, but there hasn't been anybody living there in a long time. And for a while, I was worried that it was like a halfway house because of some of the single older male characters that were living there.
Yeah, we know all the neighbors on, Every other house immediately next to it, but there has been a lot of turnover.
Constant.
Yeah, so.
So we really don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Musselman. You get 5 minutes for rebuttal.
As I mentioned, I have had a number of tenants in there. Majority of them have been students. So student housing, when you have student housing, you're going to have turnover that they're not going to stick around more than a year or so from there. But I do have everyone sign a 1-year lease. So it's been 1 year's worth of leases. It just seems like a lot because I've owned the property for 33 years. You all are welcome to get on the site to see the individual bedrooms, to see that things are updated, things are clean. Catty corner to me, right next to who they spoke about, my neighbor, that's been there for 19 years. Right next to her is a house that's in dilapidated condition. It's really fallen down. In fact, I think she went to the property valuation and asked for a reduction based on that. Unfortunately, when they asked for my property valuation, when they raised me over $104,000 this last time, my value, I wasn't able to rebut it because they didn't give me the card until after the appeal process was over. So I would have done the same thing. So parking, it's off-street parking. To my knowledge, there hasn't been, my next door, I want everyone to take note, neither one of my next door neighbors are here to protest this. The one lady, the first lady, she lives about 10 doors down from me, way down the end of the street. And then these were the newcomers on the block, and they've only been there since 2018. So really, they have just moved there. So, but, you know, and I don't want to, you know, I just most recently met them. So they have 4 dogs, and their dog came across the street at me. But I petted it, you know, I'm neighborly. I was like, I grew up with Mr. Rogers. Remember him? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Couldn't we all just get along like that, you know? But the property itself has about 3,700 square feet of livable space. So it is a large home, okay? I've put 2 roofs on the house in the 32-year time that I've owned it. I maintain the plumbing. It's not shabby. I fully tiled the basement about 10 years ago. I put soundproofing and recessed lighting in the basement. It's a beautiful, comfortable place. And if anyone has any objection to it, they can come out. Anyone on the panel wants to come out and see the place. I think it's a really nice place. So, and if it weren't, then I wouldn't get a $104,000 increase in property value assessment, would I? And most recently, there are more than the two renters on the street. There's a lot more of those than just that. So, and as far as the trucks coming and going, I don't know what she's talking about because no one's over there. The only time my next door neighbors usually host a party on Saturday evenings, and I see a lot of cars that come through at that time. But I'm of the opinion you got to live. You know, you can't tell people not to host or not to enjoy life and be neighborly. You know, so you know that's what I'm thinking. So, but I've mentioned my rules, the house rules that I posted, and everyone's going to be aware of that. The other thing that I can say is I saw this on one of the short-term rental sites that noise awareness monitors can be put in units with a notification of the prospective tenants, so we can do that as well. But like I said, this is a 0 lot lines around here. I went over, I mowed the lawn this morning. I'm hearing a remodel going on 2 doors away. A lot of Spanish going on, and I can hear Emma talk to her neighbor from across the street. I can hear Doug and his wife talk. I can, you know, but I'm not offended by it. It's just, it's going to happen. So when they said there was a party going on, that was some seminary students that I had loaned to, and they got very entrepreneurial. And unbeknownst to me, because I was a long distance landlord at the time, I was living in California, they decided to sublet without me being aware. So they had a lot of kids coming in there. And yeah, they did that. And I too was offended. We had a hard freeze. They convinced me that, and I was raising the rent.
We're at five
Oh,
minutes.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm just going to ask you to wrap up.
Okay, I'll wrap up.
All right.
But the pipes burst. I came in, I had already refunded all their deposits, and I was left with that. So I don't think that they were representative of what Christians should be like. And so I was disappointed too, along with my neighbors. So I want to apologize to my neighbors for that. But that was probably 15 years ago. Okay, so, but to my knowledge, there hasn't been any police called or anything like that, that sort of thing. So, okay, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Anything for Mr. Musselman?
Madam Chair, I would like to ask
Sure,
Mr.
Ms.
Musselman
Howard.
some
Yes.
questions. Are you aware that if this is approved today, that you would have to register with the Metro office?
I have, and I have done that.
You've already registered,
Yes. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
for a short-term rental.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you also aware that you would have to register again within 1 year and every year thereafter?
Yes, that's what Jude had informed me about that.
Okay, I'm just wanting you to be aware of it.
Thank you.
Okay, the other thing is, I heard from testimony of opposition that you updated your home to make these 10 bedrooms,
Not 10 bedrooms,
14 bedroom, whatever it is,
7 bedrooms,
7 bedroom.
or 14 people.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, but you updated to make it 7, but they were not always originally 7 bedrooms, is that correct?
There were originally 6,
6.
and I put a third one in the lowest level because it was an expanse that was pretty large.
Okay, is the lowest level like in a basement?
Well, it's ground floor because it's got full-size windows and full-size doors that go out.
It has a door that leads to outside.
2 doors, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
front and
thank
back.
you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, please. Was I correct in hearing you say that the caretakers would be you and the cleaning lady or whomever that might be?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
both
Yes,
of
sir.
you live close to each other in Indiana, like 22 miles away?
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay. There's no one close that they could call an emergency or anything like that?
I think I mentioned that earlier, but I have provided my own personal phone and her personal phone to the tenants that wish to call us in the event that they need to call us. And we are 20 minutes away. I mean, it literally takes me about 20 minutes to get from front door to front door.
Thank you.
Sure. I mean, if I lived out in St. Matthews, it'd probably take me 20 minutes to get there too through that traffic, as you might know. So
You just said you're providing your phone number to the tenants. What about the neighbors?
the neighbors is who I meant. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier about 14 guests. So is that going to be, because it's written in the staff report that it's a maximum of 10 guests in the one unit and an 8 in the other. So would that be reduced to 8 guests in one unit and then 6 guests in the other?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And, I could, I'm wanting to rent if need be, all the units can be rented. So they can combine 1 and 2 to rent the entire.
Okay. So just to clarify.
Because it's zoned for either a single family residence or a duplex. I have that.
Right.
And I bought that years ago as well, legally.
Just to clarify, the one unit, the 4-bedroom unit will have a maximum of 8 guests and the 3-bedroom unit will have a maximum of 6 guests. That's correct. Okay.
Does that become a condition of approval because
We'll just amend
Have to
it.
change the condition of approval number 1.
the 18 is what the regs allow, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be down to 14?
Be down to 14.
14, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Closing the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry.
For staff, sorry.
Yes.
Just for staff, not for the not from the property owner. So we heard a lot of testimony today, and this occurs occasionally when we're reviewing short-term rental conditional use permits. Is there anything in the standard of review? There were two issues. Is there anything in the standard of review that the staff encounters or has to apply that pertains to the amount of investment improvements that the property owner has made in the property, or some threshold which they have to meet in order for it to be acceptable for consideration for a conditional use permit for this purpose?
No, there's not. I mean, the dwelling has to be habitable and all the bedrooms have to meet Metro code, but that's about the extent of it. There is no kind of dollar amount figure of improvements that are necessary.
Okay, and then the second issue was, is there anything in the standard of review that pertains to, in this case, a dwelling unit previously used as a rental property, pertaining to, is there a history of complaints or violations of city code, and that would in some ways mitigate or apply to the suitability for this property to apply for and be accepted for a short-term rental conditional use permit?
I mean, not really. I kind of fail to understand what you're asking. Like, so if a property had some kind of history of code enforcement complaints, would it
Yes,
be
because
ineligible?
apparently there is stipulation by the owner that in fact it has been rented for many years to various tenants. And if there was in fact a history of code violations, would that be material to our considerations or to your staff analysis?
For sure. So first and foremost, it might be important to state that I'm not aware of any kind of code violations on this property. But in the conditional use permit and the registrations, if you are subject to two or more substantiated complaints, i.e. you have a party that gets out of control and LMPD comes and takes down a police report, if something in your listing is inaccurate, where like you're offering far greater occupancy than what your permit would allow you to, if you get two strikes, your registration gets revoked. And the way the conditional use permit, if your registration gets revoked, the conditional use permit is most likely going to be subject to revocation due to the lapse in registration. So individuals who do get the conditional use permit oftentimes are made aware that they have to be on their best behavior in order to continue to do short-term rentals.
And this is Laura Ferguson, Assistant County Attorney. I'm going to jump in because we've had some cases where there has been clear-cut testimony about the owner's inability to manage the property, that there have been police coming, there have been other things that were presented as part of the testimony, and the board decided that based on the evidence provided, that they didn't think it was on the standard of review that it could be compatible because it couldn't be managed in a way. There was not a documented history of being able to manage this use in a way that would be compatible with the surrounding area.
By this particular applicant.
Right. And so there have been occasions where the board has denied it based on making, the staff report is going off the information it has, but that's what has happened in some other cases. And then there's been other cases where there's been some concerns, but not quite raising to the same level. And the board has approved it, but with the understanding that there's this two-strike rule. If there's two verified complaints, the registration is going to be revoked, possibly the conditional use permit. But I mean, if you have the registration revoked, you can't rent anyway. And that the neighbors will be watching, and that a lot of these complaints could be called into 311, and depending on the level of it, it could be a police call, but generally we encourage calling 311 first.
Thank you.
So those are kind of the two ways those issues have kind of come down.
That's helpful. Thank you, Jude.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Musselman, you've had 5 minutes for rebuttal.
I just wanted to correct her because
I said.
to my knowledge, there hasn't been any police called ever on the property. And it hasn't been happened. I don't know where she said that in testimony.
I'm sorry. What I was saying was you have had 5 minutes for rebuttal, right?
I was just correcting the Councilwoman Ferguson. There hasn't been anyone that has ever called on the police. That was not in the test.
Sir, what I was saying is in other cases that have come before the
Another
board
case, okay.
historically.
I thought you said in this
No.
specific case. Okay. I stand corrected. Thank you.
All right. Reminder that we are in deliberations. So any further discussion?
I don't know if this should be a part of the discussion or not, but I will bring this up. I personally would be voting to deny. And my reason would be because the standard of review for the conditional use permit under item number 2 of the comprehensive plan, I don't feel that the proposal is compatible with the surrounding land use and general character of the area, including this factor such as scale. Yes, the property is zoned R5 residential single family. Yes, this property for duplex has been allowed because of a non-conforming use. But for me to have, and I know that if in the past it has not had up to 10, or now we're saying 8 and 6. In the past, it has not had 8 units in one building, I don't think. I mean, 1 unit and 6 in the other unit. And for me, that's intensity, that's scale. That's increasing the scale. So I will be voting no if it is approved, if its motion is to go. But I think it's violating item number 2 of the standard of review. Also for traffic, because this could allow more cars, and it's just a 1-lane driveway. I don't know where all those other cars would park, so I have 2. It's not compatible with scale, intensity, or the traffic, in my opinion.
So, of course, one of the things that the board can do is look at lowering the number of people, if that was the intent.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. The board is, has their own right and prerogative to do what they wish, but that's my opinion.
But, we're really approving 2, or
Yes.
we're reviewing 2,
Yes.
not 1.
Right, especially when the applicant said that both of them could be used by the same applicant at the same time. That's a bit much for me, according to the comprehensive plan.
And that seems to be his preference.
Yes, his reference is to allow both of them to be opened or at the same time for short-term rental. That goes against, for me, that goes against the zoning district. It also goes against the character of that neighborhood in terms of allowing that many people to be there at that amount of time, using one driveway and expecting to use a public street that is a dead end. I just have a problem with item number 2.
And I understand what you're saying, and maybe this is a question for council or staff. If he did this as a long-term rental with 7 bedrooms.
Well, I'm not even sure that the 7 bedrooms are, I don't even know if the code enforcement people come and look at all of these short-term rentals or not, to make sure that, because we always have this condition that they have to meet the code.
Right. At the end of the day, if some of the bedrooms don't meet the criteria for a bedroom, then the maximum would be reduced accordingly.
And is that different for long-term rental as opposed to short-term rental?
It might be now, since they got all these new regulations for long-term rental. That's just happened this year, right? The Metro Council is now having some new laws on
They have like an annual registration. And they have that.
Whatever it is,
right.
I know it's new.
Right. And I think
So
they have
that may
some
be
random
possible.
inspections, as I think was associated with it.
Right.
But appropriate ingress and egress, and I'm not staff, may be required for long-term rentals as well. Is that what you're?
Right. I think that, whatever it is new for registering long-term rentals as well. It's just recent.
Yeah, and it provides like contact information and that sort of thing to help the absentee.
Help with neighborhoods.
But I guess what I'm getting at, is there any difference in the number of people that would live there in long-term rental versus short-term rental?
And typically in a short-term rental, you might have a whole bunch of unrelated people coming at one time to stay, whereas a long-term rental, it really should be rented out. I did,
30 days.
I realize the time, but how do you say that 8 students can't get together and rent this house?
yeah, on one lease, you probably could.
Or whatever number. I mean,
Yeah, as long as they're doing the house, Different thing if they're all renting bedrooms, that's a different regulation.
But in this case, remember, Louis, this is two different units for short-term rental, and these 2 different units have to register. And a long-term rental may not have to register. I don't know if they register. Do long-term rentals have to register with you all?
Long-term,
Who said yes to,
long-term rentals do have to register, not through the Office of
but not
Planning.
through Office of Planning?
Right, but they do have to register as
Right,
rentals.
and so therefore we have no way of putting conditions on long-term rentals, correct?
That's correct. You
Yeah,
cannot
but
put
we have a
conditions on
way
that.
to do that with short-term rentals. So we can't do anything about what long-term rentals do, but we can what short-term rentals do.
well, I guess what I'm getting at is it any better?
I don't know if it's any better or not, but,
I mean, you can put requirements on the short term, but the long term is whatever.
well, we
Whatever
didn't do
goes.
that. We didn't do this. This is a regulation that we have to abide by. We have no control over long-term rentals.
I think my position here is much along the first comments and my colleague down here, but I'm also concerned about it sounds like testimony from a poor past management problem, and I would foresee a future management problem. There's no one that's designated close by that could take care of these problems, and apparently they haven't taken care of them in the past, according to testimony.
And you have to be within 25 miles of the short-term rental, correct?
Yes.
So according to Mr. Musselman's testimony, he's 22
With 22.
miles.
Yeah, I don't have a
away.
problem with that. My issue is the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood. And because of 2 units being in the same building, allowing this many people to come in to a dead-end street.
Yeah, well, I hear your concern and I don't disagree with him. I guess I'm just trying to get straight in my mind.
Well,
Is
just-
long-term rental any better?
Well, it may
Or
not
worse.
be any better, but we can't control long-term rental. We can do this with short-term rentals.
Anyone else?
And if it helps, I mean, if you get a short-term rental, you can still rent long-term.
Oh, yes. you
Yeah,
can still
I
rent
mean,
long-term.
short-term just gives you an additional option, but you can go if you get the conditional use permit for a short-term rental, it doesn't prevent you from
Renting
long-term rental.
But if you put restrictions on the number, does it hold for the long-term rental too?
No, applies only to the short-term rental.
Does it help?
Anyone else?
Yes, just to clarify, I think the conversation is helpful, and I appreciate the sincerity and the depth of questions from my colleagues. That being said, as a deliberative body, being able to discern in this instance or in any instance similar to this, the difference of the impact on the neighborhood if there were at full occupancy 18 people living in this dwelling on long-term rental basis versus 18 living in this property on a short-term rental basis, and half of them were rowdy and the other half were more peaceful, or all 18 of them were rowdy, or all 18 of them were peaceful, on the basis of, are they going to be there less than 30 days or are they going to be there for 12 months? And then the impact on the neighborhood, I don't see where there is a policy structure in front of us to be able to make meaningful distinctions between all of those scenarios. I appreciate the scenarios being raised. I just don't. And so it really gets into do we have the policy structure within city code to begin to tease out the meaningful differences between land use that is assuming long-term, the ability of a homeowner to do long-term rentals of their property versus the conditional use permits, which also allow an additional use here being short-term rentals. And suddenly you start to cross into this situation where a residential dwelling is starting to look more and more like a local hotel versus a residential property that was properly situated in a neighborhood of other dwelling units where people are living there or renting there for long term. I just don't see where there is the structure policy to be able to make those kinds of discernments and apply them effectively in this kind of a case. So I just wanted to get that on the record.
Thank you. Mr. Ford.
All I have to say to that response, and I appreciate it, is that we do have a comprehensive plan that we can also add to our decisions. And it's a legal plan.
Anyone else? All right, we've had a lot of discussion on this topic. The public hearing is closed. Is anyone ready to make a motion based on the discussion?
Madam Chair, I will begin with mine as I've already stated, and everybody has their own prerogative as to how they vote. So, Madam Chair, regarding 24 CUP 0223, regarding the short-term rental for 141 North Galt Avenue, I move that we deny the conditional use permit to allow short-term rentals of dwelling units that are not the primary residence of the owner. And I base this on, I can't use the staff analysis or the standard of review in its totality, but I do base my denial on that the proposal is not compatible with the surrounding land uses and the general character of the area in factors because of this type of use that is now being proposed for this site. It's not up to scale, and it's definitely not meeting intensity or traffic for the use that is being proposed in my opinion. And I base this on the testimony and evidence that has been provided today.
And did you want to add also based on the number of bedrooms and potential people who could stay
Yes, I'll
there?
add on the number of bedrooms that are already, number of bedrooms, which are 7, to allow a maximum of 18, although the applicant has said 14 would be used for people.
Second the motion. Horton?
All right, it's been moved and seconded to deny the conditional use permit for the short-term rental on Galt Avenue. Please call for vote.
Bozos,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Beta,
No.
Howard,
Yes.
Lewis,
No.
and Bond.
Yes. Where are we?
5 to deny, 2 against. So the motion
No,
carries.
I thought it was 3. Wasn't it 3? Beta and, oh, just Beta and Lewis. Okay, I thought it was 3. 2, okay. I'm in
Motion
error.
carries.
I'm in error.
Okay. All right. The short-term rental request has been denied. All right. We are going to take a 10-minute break. It's 3:26.